everyone, and welcome back to my channel, and welcome to another edition of Books and Brushes, where I do my makeup to mimic the cover of one of my all-time favorite books and tell you a bit about it. So today we are talking about one of my favorite book series. This is the conclusion to the whole series, and it is Finale by Stephanie Garber. This is a Caraval novel. There are actually 4 of these now, one of them being a spin-off series, but it still ties into the whole storyline. But this is all about a fantastical game played over 5 nights, and if you win, you get a wish. And it's much more complex than that. We're going to talk about it more as we go through, but my whole outfit is going to kind of mimic some of the ones that are described in the book. There's a lot of gorgeous dresses and fancy outfits because Caraval is like the biggest thing to happen every year. So I put on this really flowy, flowery top because there's a lot of talk of flowers in this book, and my wig is going to kind of mimic one of the main characters. So that being said, let's get started. So I'm going to start with my eyes. We're just going to prime them up. I started reading Caraval when I was in college, and it had already been out for at least a year. I know the very first book was out. Legendary didn't come out till later, and I actually already have done a makeup look inspired by the cover of Legendary. I did that almost like 2 years ago now. The finale came out in 2019, I believe. So they all came out fairly close together, and they are one right after the other. Like there's really no span of time between each book, which if you're someone like me is great because I do like to kind of a marathon series. And I'm going to start the eyes with the Shadow Sweet Spot here out of the Honey palette because it is the most yellow shadow I have. And we're going to start applying this right along the brow bone, pretty high up along the brow bone, kind of eye socket area. This is going to be an interesting color combination, but I promise it will look nice. Caraval is one of the first series that actually got me back into reading. The first book I only took 18 hours to read. I stayed up all night reading it, slept for like 2 hours, went to my one class, and then came back to my dorm room and finished it before dinner. So if that just tells you how amazing these books are. I can't tell you too much about Finale, but I can talk a lot about Stephanie Garber's writing because that is consistent through all 3 books. Throughout the series, you get a really strong sister relationship. They're always trying to save each other. They're always looking out for each other in some way. However, this book made me hate the main character a little bit less than I did before. In my reviews, I talked about how I really didn't like Scarlett, and I found her to be very whiny and annoying, and Donatella to be more of my favorite because she's the little sister who feels like she's been overlooked her entire life even by their abusive father, and she's a bit of the wild child. For the crease, I'm going to take a really dark purple. This is In Deep Trouble from NYX. Donatella is always getting herself into trouble, and in the end of this series, it is no different. She has gotten herself involved with a man and may or may not have her best interest at heart. So essentially we're finding out what's going to happen, and Scarlett has also gotten herself involved with 2 men. Now I won't say who anybody is that they're involved with because that will spoil it, but I do recommend reading all 3 so you can find out. The writing for this, a lot of people have called it flowery, and that is figurative and literal. Flowers play a huge role in the symbolism in this book. There is flowers on the dresses, there's flowers throughout the game that help lead people to hints. I think even at some point there are like poisonous flowers in this last one that kind of, again, point toward some wrongdoings and who is in charge of doing those things. Now my eyes probably just look bruised, but they're most certainly not. So now to lighten this up a bit and take some of that bruised look out, we're gonna go in with this bright purple Tokidoki shadow. This is called Killer Candy, and we're gonna put this on the lids. So other than flowers playing a huge role, the costumes play a massive, massive role in Caraval. All of the people involved are performers for the most part, except for like 5 people. Not even 5 in this book, I think like 3. Everyone's involved, and it's very hard to tell who is on your side and who wants you to fail this game because they want someone else to win, or they just love watching people fumble around. There's a lot of people with ulterior motives and double agency going on, and not everybody is exactly who they say they are. And this whole world through the span of the 3 books just changes and evolves so much because this is a traveling performance. So we're not stuck in one place listening to them talk about where they're performing. It's usually never in the same place twice. And if it is for some reason, it's usually a pretty sinister one, or someone has paid a great deal to get the game to come there. And again, it's probably a pretty sinister reason. Now I'm going to go into the color Palooza from the same palette. Pop this just on the very start of the eyelid. So not the inner corner, just the very start of the lid, right after the inner corner. But I'm going to frame it up by putting some of it on the outer corner as well, because I'm not going to be putting any liner on with this look. So we can just add this to the outer corners as well, and you can make it go up beyond the crease, kind of outwards. Make it really dramatic. Add some really big lashes. I have these Ardell Faux Minks. These are in 811, and I'm going to throw on some mascara as well. This book's magic system is really intricate as well. We go into kind of a tarot system with what they call the Deck of Destiny. So there are these old gods, which they call fates, involved, and they are what you see on the tarot cards. And they basically, you know, each of them has their own purpose. Like the Prince of Hearts means that you will go through life with unrequited love. There's the Maiden Death, who, you know, just tells people when they're going to lose a loved one. There's the Lady Prisoner, there's a Poisoner, there's a lot of different roles. But you have kind of your major arcana and minor arcana, and it all matches. You could very easily match the suits of an actual tarot deck to the characters in Caraval. So now we have these big dramatic lashes that don't want to cooperate, of course. Let's move on to the face makeup. I'm just going to use my Pore Blur Primer that I've been using just on the forehead. That was way too much for the forehead. And down here on the nose, make sure you get it all the way over to the temples. Right in between my brows where there is inevitably always texture. I use a little bit of Cicapair to just cover up some of my redness right over here. Love this product from Dr. Jart. Got it in a Birchbox a long time ago, and it just works wonders on my skin. So every character in this book has kind of their own plot line, but it's not to the point that it gets so heavy that you forget who is involved in what, because in some way they are really all entangled, and I really like the different avenues they take. I mean, we have some family drama with the parents. I mean, their dad is quite abusive. Their mother kind of is estranged from them, and their grandmother, we find out, wasn't very loving and had some secrets that kind of affected the family throughout the years that she just decided not to share with anyone. And then for concealer, we're just going to use the same one we did before. It's the Pretty Fresh concealer, but I want to make myself look really like bright and kind of dewy. We want to be like borderline shiny, because all the magical people in this book have this glow about them, like an actual magical glow. So I did my brows off camera just because they're pretty easy, and brows are so personal. But now we're going to contour. I'm going to go down my nose a little bit so I look like I have this very slim, noble nose. I think that's the other thing I like about the whole Caraval world, and finale especially, is it feels very almost historical fiction, but like it's in a fantasy world, so it's hard to tell what period of time it's in, and to the point that they have their own calendar and it goes by like the growing seasons versus actual months. So when you read this, you're really taken into this world that Stephanie Garber has designed to just be its own entity completely. Now I'm gonna add a little blush. This is just an orange blush that I have. It's a little pan. And we're gonna add quite a bit of this. Actually, I want it to be pretty bright just because in the book, they're always blushing. Like everybody's blushing. Girls, guys, doesn't matter. People's emotions cannot be hidden in this book. No. Everybody ends up knowing everything about everyone, and it's fantastic. Now for a bit of highlight, we're going to use Yummy Cookies from ColourPop. This is one that has quite a bit of not only glow, but a little bit of a bronze to it. And all of this takes place usually on islands. So there's a lot of sun. Everybody's pretty glowy, dewy, usually kind of sweaty. So we're going to add a good deal of that to just make it look like we've been in the sun of one of these places. Now before we go in and do the lips, I'm going to take a little bit of this bronze powder that I have, and we're going to put this right under the eyes. This stuff is really shimmery. It's very loose, but you don't really need an adhesive or any kind of glitter glue for it. It really just clings to the skin. So we're going to tap this under our eyes. I'm not smudging it, I'm just tapping it. And my method with this is basically if there's fallout, there's fallout. And put a little in on the inner corner. For the lips, I'm gonna go with this CoverGirl color. This is in the shade Coral Chronicles. Not too bright, it's just a nice kind of peachy, corally nude. So now that I have this all done, I'm gonna go throw on the Donatella-esque wig and we will finish off this look. So here is the look with the blonde hair. I don't know what's going on with this little piece here. Doesn't know what it wants to do really, but this is kind of like Donatella's hair. She has this long blonde curly hair. Now this is wavy and hers is definitely like ringlets, like that's very clear in the book. But this is as close as I have, and I feel like it's just very befitting of the look. So I highly recommend Caraval, and I highly recommend Finale. It's probably my favorite book in the whole series just because it wraps it all up so good. But I love Stephanie Garber. I love her world, and I can't wait to read the spin-off, Once Upon a Broken Heart. It's beautiful. I'll probably do a makeup look on that too after I read it. But yeah, this is the end of this video. If you guys enjoyed, please let me know down below. Check out my other books and brushes videos, and I'll see you guys in the next one.